forefront? Is that still in the cards? Or will the players' ego not allow them to agree to this deal? Is a 50-50 rev share split the hill that they want to die on? Are they saying, you know what? You can give us whatever offer you want to give us. We're not going to accept anyway. Because if they don't accept this deal, what more can the owners give up?
The WNBA just put an offer on the table so completely insane, it should have been signed yesterday. But what if I told you the three people in charge of accepting this life-changing deal for the players might be the very same people trying to kill the league from the inside? This isn't just a contract negotiation. This is a story of a potential betrayal that could destroy women's basketball right as it's finally exploding.
NBA's current CBA proposal includes a max salary of more than $1.1 million. We heard reports of $1 million. We heard reports of $850,000. And now we're hearing $1.1 million, the biggest number yet. I don't know what they're paying these ladies in Unrivaled, but that seems more than competitive. Much more than competitive.
Let's be absolutely clear about the numbers the league just offered because they are staggering. We're talking about maximum contracts skyrocketing to over $1.1 million. The league minimum, the salary for the last player on the bench, jumping from a measly $78,000 to $220,000 overnight. The average salary would hit nearly $500,000. This isn't just an improvement, it's a revolution. It's everything the players have been fighting for, including the one thing they demanded above all else: revenue sharing.
Maybe Project B is putting some pressure on the WNBA, like, you know what? We got to offer $1 million contracts. You know what? We got to give them $1 million contracts. We at least want to retain some of these ladies. If anything, Project B is the alternative after the WNBA season. That's what they're thinking. If anything, Project B is the alternative after the WNBA season. They're not going to go to the EuroLeague. They're not going to go play in Australia. They're going to go play in Project B. Get your $1 million here. Get your $1 million over there in Project B. Unrivaled seems, I don't have their finances, but this can very well price Unrivaled out of the market.
So why on earth would anyone even hesitate to sign this? The answer is simple, and it's the one thing nobody is talking about. Follow the money. The three people leading the negotiations for the players are Nneka Ogwumike, Breena Stewart, and Nafisa Collier. And here's the catch. All three of them have direct financial stakes in leagues that compete with the WNBA. Stewart and Collier are co-founders of Unrivaled. Ogwumike took money from another startup called Project B. Their job is to get the best deal for WNBA players. But their side hustles only succeed if the WNBA stays weak.
You're not negotiating for yourself. You're negotiating for the other 170 plus ladies in the league. You're negotiating for the Juju Watkins coming in. You want Juju Watkins to come in and not have an American professional league to go to? That seems very selfish. You want Sarah Strong to come in and not have a professional league to go to? You want Hannah Hidalgo to come in and not have a professional league to go to? You want Malaysia Fawali to come in and not have a professional league to go to? You want AZ Foot to come in and not have a professional league to go to? You want to make them dance with one arm behind their back like a circus clown in Unrivaled? You want to have them make a moral choice whether they want to go to Project B?
Think about what that conflict of interest actually means. If the WNBA becomes so lucrative that players are making over $1 million a year with all the endorsements that come from being on primetime television, why would anyone risk their career in a startup league? Suddenly, Unrivaled isn't the future of women's basketball. It's an off-season sideshow. Project B isn't a competitor, it's a novelty. This incredible offer for the players is a direct threat to the personal business empires of the very people who are supposed to be negotiating in good faith.
You are taking money out of their mouth. You're not doing them a favor. You're doing them a disfavor. Let's get right into it. WNBA latest CBA proposal would put max salary over $1.1 million with revenue sharing, AP source says. Let's get into it. The WNBA's latest collective bargaining proposal would include revenue sharing with a maximum salary of more than $1.1 million.
And here is who really gets screwed if this deal dies. It's not the superstars. It's the players the executive board is supposed to be representing. The role players, the rookies, the veterans trying to secure a pension. Players like Dana Evans, fighting for minutes in Chicago, or Jini Carrington, who just had a breakout season. They don't have ownership stakes in competing leagues. All they have is their WNBA career, and their own leadership might be willing to sacrifice it to protect their personal investments.
Are you looking out for Michaela Timpsons of the world? The Damaris Dantises of the world? The Julie Alamans of the world? The De'Erica Hambys, the Azurá Stevens? Are you looking out for them? Or are you guys only looking out for your little fan club, the executive board of the Players Association? You guys only looking out for your little selves? Are you guys looking out for, I don't know, a Rebecca Allen, a Marina Mabrey, an Ari McDonald? People familiar with the WNBA's latest proposal described the plan to the AP as a highly lucrative package providing substantial...
But it gets so much worse, because they're not just gambling with the careers of the players in the league right now, they are holding the future of the entire sport hostage. Juju Watkins, the next generational talent, is eligible for the draft in 2026. Paige Buchers in 2025. All of these future stars, who are building massive followings thanks to the Caitlin Clark effect, are watching this happen. They're preparing for a professional career that might not even exist if this negotiation collapses.
Big salaries. I'm telling you right now, if I'm Caitlin Clark, if I'm A'ja Wilson, I am calling these ladies. I don't know if Caitlin Clark's going to do that, but if I'm A'ja Wilson, I'm calling Nafisa Collier, Breanna Stewart, Nneka Ogwumike, and I'm putting my foot up their ass. Seriously. Guys, my dream is not to play in fucking Project B. My dream is not to play it unrivaled. I'm putting my foot up their fucking ass. If I'm A'ja, I'm swallowing my pride and I'm calling Sabrina. I'm swallowing my pride and I'm calling Caitlin. We gotta be on a unified front. The three of us gotta be on a unified front. And we gotta go head to head with those three and let them know we're not taking part in this bullshit that you guys are taking part in. We don't wanna do Project B.
Imagine a world with no 2026 WNBA season. All that momentum, all those new fans that Caitlin Clark brought in, all the sold-out arenas and record-breaking TV ratings, it all evaporates. The future stars are forced to choose. Wait a year and lose all momentum, or sign with a startup league, fragmenting the talent pool and killing the one professional league that matters. That's not a hypothetical. That is the loaded gun currently pointed at the head of women's basketball.
I don't want to put too much pressure on A'ja Wilson, but just I get that vibe from her that she'll be at least, that she might not rally Sabrina and Caitlin, but she'll at least call Stewie and Fee and Nneka Ogwumike with her braggadocious self and be like, hey, the fuck are you guys doing over here? And if I'm Caitlin Clark, you want to stay in the dark, you kind of want to keep your image smooth, no problem with that. But you better get word to Aaron Kane, who's also Nafisa Collier.
Make no mistake, this offer from the league isn't just generous. It's a strategic kill shot. The WNBA is making it financially impossible for Unrivaled and Project B to compete. They are telling their superstars, we will pay you more than anyone else can afford with a bigger platform than anyone else can offer. It's a declaration of war, telling these startup leagues they can be an off-season hobby, but they will never be a true rival. But if this power play fails, if the player leadership walks away from this deal, the damage will be catastrophic. We're not just talking about money. We're talking about the infrastructure that took 28 years to build. The TV deals with ESPN and ABC, the corporate sponsors who are finally taking this seriously, the mainstream attention that felt impossible just 2 years ago, all of it disappears. Casual fans don't wait around for labor disputes. They just move on. So this all comes down to a simple, brutal question for Nneka Ogwumike, Breanna Stewart, and Nafisa Collier. Are you negotiating for the 144 roster spots in the WNBA? Or are you negotiating for your own bank accounts? Because from the outside, it looks like you're willing to sacrifice the future of the league to protect your side hustles. And that's a betrayal of every single player you claim to represent. And let's be crystal clear about the official excuses we're likely to hear. They'll call this a good starting point. They will talk about non-financial issues, things like guaranteed charter flights for every game, not just some. They will bring up the need for more roster spots to prevent talented players from being cut. They'll talk about long-term healthcare benefits and a more robust pension plan. And listen, those are all incredibly important, valid points that absolutely need to be addressed. but they are also the perfect smokescreen. They are the noble-sounding justifications you use in public to stall a deal that threatens your personal financial interests in private. It allows them to frame a rejection not as a selfish act, but as a righteous fight for the forgotten player, all while their competing leagues gain more time to attract investors and sign talent. It's a classic negotiation tactic. Create a public narrative of fighting for the little guy to distract from the fact that you're really just fighting for yourself. We have seen this movie before, and it ends in disaster. Just ask Major League Baseball. In 1994, the Players' Union, led by superstars, went on strike, convinced the owners would cave. They miscalculated, and the league canceled the World Series for the first time in 90 years. The result? A generation of fans was lost forever. It took nearly a decade and a steroid-fueled home run chase to even begin to recover. The WNBA doesn't have that kind of history to fall back on. It doesn't have a century of fan loyalty. It has one singular explosive moment of cultural relevance happening right now. A lost season, a public and bitter labor dispute wouldn't just be a setback, it would be an extinction-level event. All the momentum, all the new fans who just learned the names of the teams, all the little girls who have a Caitlin Clark jersey hanging in their closet, they will be gone. And they may never come back. And let's analyze the league's motivation here, because this offer isn't an act of charity, it's a calculated act of corporate warfare. The WNBA's current media rights deal expires after the 2025 season. They are about to go to the negotiating table with ESPN, Amazon, NBC, and everyone else to secure a contract potentially worth over $1 billion. To get that kind of money, they need one thing above all else: certainty. They need to show the networks that the league is stable, that its stars are locked in, and that there will be games to broadcast for the next decade. A labor dispute is the single greatest threat to that billion-dollar payday. So, Commissioner Kathy Engelbert is making a brilliant, ruthless move. She's offering the players a massive piece of the future pie to guarantee labor peace before she even sits down with the networks. She is effectively making the players her partners in this negotiation, telling them, "Help me secure this bag, and I will make you all rich beyond your wildest dreams." It's a masterstroke of business strategy. Now let's look closer at the so-called competitors, because they aren't what you think. Unrivaled, founded by Stewart and Collier, isn't a full 5-on-5 league. It's a 3-on-3 league planned for the WNBA offseason. Its entire business model is predicated on the idea that WNBA players are underpaid and need a way to supplement their income. But what happens to that model when the WNBA minimum salary is $220,000 and the average is $500,000? Suddenly, playing in a physically demanding, injury-prone 3-on league for a fraction of your main salary becomes a terrible financial decision. The risk far outweighs the reward. This WNBA offer doesn't just compete with Unrivaled, it makes it obsolete before it even launches. It turns a potential threat into a glorified summer pickup game. The conflict of interest isn't just theoretical. This offer is a direct nuclear strike on Stewart and Collier's side business. Beyond the players themselves, there is an entire ecosystem of agents and power brokers whose influence cannot be ignored. The modern sports landscape is dominated by the concept of player empowerment, a movement largely driven by powerful agencies who benefit from it. These agencies thrive in a fractured market. The more leagues there are to negotiate with, the more leverage they have. An agent who can play the WNBA against Unrivaled, against a European team, against another startup, can command a higher fee and exert more control. A single, dominant, high-paying league like the one this new deal would create actually reduces the power of the agent. It centralizes the money and the influence within the league structure. So when you see these players hesitating, you have to ask, whose advice are they listening to? Is it the advice that benefits the 144 women on the rosters? Or the advice that benefits the small circle of agents who see a WNBA monopoly as a threat to their own business model? The sheer, unadulterated velocity of the Caitlin Clark effect cannot be overstated, and it's the context that makes this potential self-sabotage so infuriating. We are not talking about a gradual increase in interest. We are talking about a seismic, once-in-a-century paradigm shift. Her games are setting ratings records on ESPN, ABC, and even the Ion network that most people didn't know existed a year ago. The Indiana Fever's road games are selling out arenas that NBA teams play in. The league's merchandise sales are up over 700% from last year. This is not a rising tide that lifts all boats. This is a tidal wave of money, media, and cultural relevance that the league has been praying for 28 years. To have the leadership of the players' union stand on the beach, look at this wave coming, and potentially try to block it to protect their own sandcastles is an act of professional malpractice on an almost unimaginable scale. Let's push the superstars aside for a moment and talk about who really stands to lose everything. Think about a player like Naz Hillman of the Atlanta Dream or Sugg Sutton of the Phoenix Mercury. These are not household names with massive sneaker deals. These are tough, talented women who are the lifeblood of the league. They are the players who often spend their off-seasons playing in leagues in Turkey or Spain, not to build a brand, but to pay their bills. They live out of suitcases for half the year, away from their families, risking injury in foreign countries, all for a paycheck. The deal on the table ends that. A $220,000 minimum salary means they can finally have a true off-season. They can rest their bodies. They can stay in their home market, build a local following, and grow the game. This contract isn't just a raise for them, it's a fundamental change in their quality of life. For the union leadership to even consider jeopardizing that for a startup 3-on-3 league is a stunning betrayal of the very middle-class players they are supposed to protect. And what is the alternative they are implicitly offering? A fragmented landscape, a world where the WNBA is weakened and several smaller competing leagues pop up. This isn't a utopian vision of player choice. It's a recipe for chaos that would set women's basketball back 30 years. The talent pool would be diluted. A fan in Chicago might have to choose between watching the Chicago Sky on ESPN or a new unrivaled team on a streaming service. The media rights deals would collapse because networks pay for exclusive access to the best players, not a fractured mess. Corporate sponsors would pull out, unwilling to invest in a sport that has no clear market leader. Instead of one powerful, unified league marching toward mainstream success, you would have a dozen warring factions, all fighting for scraps of attention and money, ultimately ensuring that none of them truly succeed. It's the sport's equivalent of a circular firing squad. Ultimately, the clock is ticking, and a decision has to be made. This offer from the WNBA isn't going to stay on the table forever. It is a product of a perfect storm, the arrival of a transcendent star, the explosion of social media interest, and the looming negotiation of a new, massive television contract. That storm will pass. If the players' executive committee rejects this deal, they won't get a better one next year. They will be negotiating from a position of weakness, with declining ratings, departing sponsors, and a fanbase that feels betrayed. Nneka Ogwumike, Breena Stewart, and Nafisa Collier now stand at a historic crossroads. They can be the heroes of this story, the leaders who secured generational wealth and stability for every single one of their peers. Or they will be remembered as the triumvirate who fumbled the future, who looked at the greatest opportunity in the history of their sport and chose to protect their own investments instead. The choice is theirs, but the entire world of women's basketball is watching, and we will not forget.